Okay, let's get this up before trading day starts in 20 minutes. Some really unusual things going on. I'm throwing this chart up here both for our Discord members and the people that follow us on YouTube and Twitter. Um, there's a guy, a trader, a really good trader in our room, who is also become a pretty good friend of mine. Um, Even though I've never met the man face to face, but electronic friend of mine, I guess is the right way to say it. He called this way back when, and this is the monthly in Pelotar. Just going to the moon. Down a little bit pre-market, but I mean, here's the monthly on this thing, and it's showing no sign of weakness, right? None, not one sign of weakness. All right, a couple different, a couple of different recent breakout points. The 6440 retest when it pulled back to there. The original breakout point at 46. For those that just follow this thing as it collapsed, and we're lucky enough to get it down here in this area at $7. Congrats to you. But monster trade by one of our really good traders, Mr. Jeff. Congrats. Let's take a look at where we are today. I want to mention one thing because this is something that you see. Let me get rid of the VWAP. Let me get rid of the SMAs. This is something you will see, I don't know, often. All right, what's often? I don't know. I haven't measured it. But it's an end of day gap and run on SPX. Might have been a VWAP breakout that did it, because that's right there. It gaps up right off the VWAP. Although it had been bouncing along that VWAP, just waiting to break through there. And when I say you see this often, and I don't know the exact amount of times, what I will tell you is if you're interested, and this is not a trade, this is a lotto play, this is a gamble, this is something you just throw $30 at. If you'd have decided that you wanted to take an SPX really low delta trade on a VWAP breakout yesterday, it would cost you about $20, and it would have gone to about $900. So $20 to $900 is pretty good. If you wanted to spend a little more money in the lotto and buy a 110, that went to about 1900. So at the end of the day, if you've got 20, $30 you just want to gamble on, like buying a lotto card, because that's what it is, right there, it's boom. And it happened yesterday. And there's a 5-minute candle with not a wick to be seen on it. All right, so just play that if you want. It's not a trade; it's a gamble. It pays off sometimes. I would say we should do a study on that. We'll come back to that another day. Let's talk about today right now. Huge day yesterday for in terms of volatility on the ES. Okay, let's take the VWAP off so we don't get confused by that. This here is all-time highs, and we didn't quite get there on ES. I thought we were. I'm sorry. This is all-time highs on ES, so we didn't quite get there yesterday, and I kind of thought we were. So, what am I looking at today? Key areas right here. All right, 6160. I'm looking for either a touch and a fade there, because you can see we've continued to try to push up, continue to try to push up, continue to try to push up, and getting rolled over and range bounding us in this market since, let's call it, middle of January. So I've got a couple of short-term lines on, and what we like to do is we like to talk about A setups, B setups, C setups, no setups. This is no setups at all, as far as I'm concerned. I know there are some people who are going to take a look at this. This is Sunday into Monday, which was a no trading day. Not really interested in a no trading day. In other words, the markets weren't open all the way through Monday, and then on Tuesday evening up through here. This is 8 a.m. yesterday morning, right before the market opened, and we tanked, and look what happened. We came right down to structural low at 6120. Why is it a structural low? Because it was a former high, right? 6120. 6120. 6120. That is an A setup for us to go long off of. It's an A setup for two reasons. One is it's a structural shift from resistance to support, and you have a really well-defined stop underneath it, okay? Where's the stop going to be? Probably right underneath that wick. That wick was clearly a liquidity grab yesterday. That happened at 1 o'clock Central Time. What do we got? We're in the 1 hour. Let's switch down to the 10-minute and see what it's like intraday right now. You can see the Globex went all the way up here. Played a little bit of this last night on the breakout, and it retested right there. 61.47. I think I got a 61.48 future trade there, and took it up to 61.54. I think, yeah, right there is where I got out of it. So you got got a 7-point move on ES when the Globex session opened, and then it just kind of round topped it, right, and has been rolling back over ever since. And now it looks like 61.47, which is where my entry was yesterday, and a retest is going to turn into resistance. You can see here it held as support, was resistance, was resistance, was resistance. So if I'm playing ES today, I'm thinking right there as a spot to fade, right? We're down 1150 on it. Now, why do I think it's a spot to fade? Because it is clearly been an area of resistance that broke and retested and turned into support for a period of time. Yesterday midday, yesterday when the Globex session opened, but then finally broke. What's the setup to fade there? I'll give it a B. I'll give it a B. What would I say is an A on the top end to fade? Who's calling me this time of the day? I'll have to call back. It would be somewhere in this area up here, 61.62. Boom. That would be A. This would be an A minus, 61.57, 61.60. A plus setup right down here, 61.20, right there. 61.20, 61.20, 61.20. Liquidity grab there. I'm not afraid of that. I would have that as my stop. So you're only talking 3 points. It's 150 on an ES contract. If you're playing SPY or SPX, let's take a look. Again, yesterday, you saw that move right at the end of the day that I just pointed out. If you ever want to play the lotto, there's nothing that predicts that, so don't let anybody ever tell you that. The only reason that happens is because volume comes in. So when you see volume start to increase, as it did yesterday going into the close, and it's going into the close, this being the closing candle, that's when you may want to consider a lotto, and you can use a VWAP as sort of your guidepost if it breaks through it. Although the real lotto play would have been down here, you probably could have got something for a nickel that went to $700 on SPX. But for today, you can see we broke. This is the new all-time high up here. This was the former all-time high here, right? See it right there. And we broke through it yesterday, pre-market, and then rolled over hard all day, and then just kind of chopped through the course of the day, and then rolled over and broke this area right here, 609.28. So let's just call it 609. So what would I look for today as a setup to go long? For sure, an A setup is down here at 608.30, maybe 608.60, somewhere in that area. And to go short, B setup at 611. You could see it held. It broke through there yesterday, broke back, retested it, and then broke back through and retested it again here, turning this potentially 611 area into resistance. So a B plus setup here for a short, because it could easily go through there, and I say B plus or even a B because there's not a relevant stop loss area here. Okay, maybe 611.24 if you want to hold it for 20 cents. So that's what I'm thinking right now. The only news today relevant is the FOMC minutes. Let's see what happens when that comes out. I'm expecting it's going to be the normal sort of, well, we'll see what happens with the next report. the latest inflation report month over month was hot enough that I think gave Powell pause, gave the other governors pause for sure. Powell's not as open and as transparent in how he communicates, but the other governors have communicated at various conferences that they are. So come on and join us. We have a lot of fun. We have a small, intimate group. We don't brag about profits. We really brag more about our ability to manage risk, because that's what we build our entire philosophy on. So that's it for today.